Hi there and welcome to the second tutorial for Motion Symphony 2.0. If you stuck through the 40-minute first video, well done. If you haven't, please do, because that has a lot of foundational stuff of setting things up. That video tutorial is very long because it's the minimum required setup. So please do that. The tutorials from now on are going to be much shorter. We're going to be solving one problem each video, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So in this video, we're going to solve the idle issue. You can see our character's nodding away, being all weird, struggling to do idle. And the reason for this is, well, motion matching isn't a good use case for idle. As I said, motion matching is a tool in the toolbox. Why use something that matches motion for an animation that doesn't really have much motion to match, and that is idle? You can see we even struggle to stop here. It's getting frozen. So we're going to do this really simply. We're going to add a state machine to handle our idles separately from our motion matching. So we'll add a state machine. I will call this locomotion. Why is that doing that? It's annoying. Locomotion. And we will plug that into the initialization node. And let's go in here first and add two states. Add a state idle, and I'll add a state run. And let's link them up. We'll add the transitions. For our idle state, for now, we're just going to use a sequence player node. But later on, we'll use a pose matching node, and that's another Motion Symphony node. But I don't want to make that part of this tutorial. So in this case, we're just going to pick an idle animation for this, idle, and that's good to go. For our run, we're going to take our motion matching node we created earlier, and we're just going to plug that right into the run. And finally, we're going to create the transitions. So transition to run, we need a Boolean promote to variable, and I'm going to call this should move. And then we can use, for the transition back, we can just negate should move with a not, neg, so not. And that'll keep us on the fast path with these animation nodes, which is what we want. Okay, so now that we've set up the animation graph and that's all complete, we just need to go and set in our event graph what should move should be. So that is the goal, to set that. Now we're going to make a sequence here just to keep things organized, and we're going to extract that data. Now there's two conditions that either one of them is going to cause should move to be true. One is if the player is moving, there's velocity. This will stop the character from going into idle until the stop animations have finished playing. The other one is if there is movement input, because we're using root motion. There's no movement that happens without the animation. You have to have the animation to have the movement. So whenever there is a key press for movement on the trajectory generator, we also want should move to be true. So there's those two conditions that we need in this case. Now I've gone and since the last tutorial put these caching in a macro. So just keep that in mind. I do need one more variable here, and that is the where's my character, is the movement component. So we'll get movement component, and we'll promote this to a variable. I will call this movement component, and I'm just going to plug this in at the end here, and that will work just fine. Okay, so now that I have that, I can go and do a few things. I'm just going to make sure we have our trajectory generator, not set, get, just in case, and we will get a few things from the movement component. So let's get the velocity, and what we need is not the velocity, we need the ground speed. So we're going to get vector length, so vector length, here we go, and we only need xy because this is the ground speed. We don't want the vertical component of that. Once we have that, we can promote this to a variable, and let's call that ground speed, and that will be the first thing that we set. So the next thing we need to do is ask our trajectory generator, do we have any input into that trajectory? I mean, there's other ways you could find out, but we're going to use the trajectory generator to do that, and we can just call has move input on the trajectory generator, and that'll give us a boolean and tell us straight up if that's happening. Now we need to check two things, as I said before. So this is going to be an OR statement to set should move. So either it has movement input or the ground speed is greater than, let's say, 0.1. Plug that right in there, and that should do the trick for setting this move here. So let's compile and try that out. And here we go, we are moving when we are moving, and then it converts back to idle. Or at least it should. Let's have a look at what's going on here. Let me watch this. This is still set to true. What's this one? This one's still set to true. So let's make this 0.0. Let's make this greater than like 2. Try that. There we go. Now it's going back to idle. Now, of course, we haven't set up our animations, so we get stuck in animations like that, and in those cases it's not going to transition back to idle. But this is what you'll have to do. It'll work more when we've tweaked a bit more later. So there we go, we have our idle state set up. That's it for this tutorial. Stay tuned for the next one. We're going to calibrate things a little bit better so we get more smooth and responsive animation. Thanks for watching.